Photographically speaking, children need special attention. The reason is that their attention span is very short. Their handling is all about keeping them focused and being cognizant that they have a special attachment to their parents. My name is Anthony Lawrence, and I've been a photographer for over 30 years. For a number of years, I was a certified professional photographer. I taught photography at a local college, and in 2010, I wrote a book on photography. And although technology has progressed, the basics are still the same. With all this experience, I am confident that even seasoned photographers will pick up a few pointers in each session. Now, let's get started. Now, let's start with some rules of thumb. Number one, plan ahead. Of course, you should always be prepared for wonderful, spontaneous antics of a child, but you will not capture it if you did not prepare for it. This means your camera is ready and preset to capture the image. Also, make sure that the child is appropriately dressed. You have the lights that you need and set up to capture the image you're trying to get, such as smiling or more subdued or anything else. And finally, don't distract the child with your camera. Consider whether you will pose them or use a candid approach, as both have great potential. With children, most often the candid approach works best. However, when you can elicit cooperation for a pose, you may end up with some incredible results. To obtain cooperation, have attention-getting devices. However, there should also always be only one attention getter. Mom, dad, or someone, other relative is interfering too much. Ask them to step in back of the camera. At least then the child will look in the direction of the camera. Bring the subject, the child, up to the camera level, or be prepared to go down to their eye level. Work quickly and don't try to take just one more shot if the subject is past where the expression is gone. Having said all that, what are some of the specifics that you as a photographer must plan for? Well, let's assume that the session will be in a house. Then the question is, will you use natural light, video lights, or flash? If you have a large picture window, consider using natural light, but ensure that you have appropriate reflectors for fill-in light. Next, determine when is the best time for the session. It should be when you have non-contrast light flooding the area where you intend to take the pictures. Once all this is determined, you must consider the age of the child, because different ages require different types of attention. Your picture session success will largely depend on how well you understand this aspect. Unfortunately, this is where many beginning photographers have difficulties, because they lump all children into the same category. In fact, each stage of child's developmental age requires a slightly different handling process. All these stages can be best categorized as newborn, which is 0 to 3 months, about when they start holding their heads up and recognize shapes and people. Next is the toddler stage, 3 months to almost 2 years. It begins when they start crawling and walking, also responding to others. Next stage is from about age 2 to about age 5. Then we have age 5 to 10, followed by age 10 to 13, and lastly, the teenager. Let's spend some time with each, beginning with the newborn. Because of all the categories listed, the easiest to photograph are the newborn children, because they just cry, eat, sleep, and poop. However, there are some items you should consider when photographing them. For maximum success, make sure you simulate mother's womb as much as possible. This includes warm blankets, including some vibration item to simulate mother's heartbeat, and put it under the blanket, on top of which you're going to lay the baby. Okay, the baby will hear that, will sense it. And don't be concerned too much about the closed eyes, because the eyes can't focus and will not look right anyway. As to the toddler, this child is also easy if you're prepared for it. It helps if the child is rested and fed. Actually, it's true for all the children, the rested and fed. Position a mirror below the camera lens so the child can see itself, or hang a twirling toy in front of the camera. Have mom stay as close to the camera as possible and allow her to speak in a reassured and encouraging voice. But remember, to minimize confusion for the child, there should only be one attention getter. Next, we have age 2 to about 5. For some, this is the most difficult child to photograph because this is the age of discovery, fascination, curiosity, and a continuous search for new excitement. Maintaining this child's attention can be a challenge, but it can be accomplished in a surprising way. First, build up a good collection of attention getters, and these can be as simple as making funny noises or even whistling. Begin by speaking to the child softly, almost whispering. It could be anything, including asking for help, like, Jenny, can you see if anything moves in the camera when I count to 3? Then count off to 3, but very softly. Note the expression you may get on child's face. The good thing about the help request is that you can repeat it a few times before the boredom sets in. Have mom bring the child's favorite toys to give to them as a reward for their cooperation. Yes, the old standby cliches work as well. You can run through some of them, starting with hello, smile, cookie. Also, ask mom as to what the child's favorite attention getters are. Engage the child in some small talk. Ask mom what their child's favorite toys and what stories they like to hear most often, and then use these inputs to capture the child's attention. Use props such as balloons, bubbles, feathers, or anything else that is small and will not in any way be dangerous to the child. If need be, don't be afraid being a little bit of a comic by allowing some items to fall off your head or make funny, non-threatening facial expressions. Bottom line, you can come up with many fun attention getters to lengthen that child's attention span. You may want to take pictures of a child playing in a nicely lit corner of the house, but once you show up with the camera in their play area, include some time to acclimatize the child to your picture-taking activity. For example, allowing the child to play with a toy camera that you bring with you, that would work. Once they get bored with that toy, you can easily snap away. At age 5 to 10 stage, children start to become aware of their surroundings and most especially of themselves. This, in many ways, works to the advantage of the photographer. However, even here, you need to prepare and understand the child's needs by speaking with the parents first and getting the inside track on the child's likes and dislikes. Having this will go a long way to capture that perfect image. And depending on how sophisticated the child is, you may need to customize your approach a bit, which can be silly, serious, or even studious. Hey, have some fake glasses. With this child, it's best to begin by honestly asking the questions that may be important to them, like, do they like or dislike boys or girls? What are their favorite sports, dresses, etc., toys? The key is to phrase the conversation whereby the child needs to give only limited answer, like just say yes and no. This will not inhibit you shooting, and at the same time, give a variety of expressions as they think about your questions. Now, 10 to 13. At this point, things get a bit more complicated because the self-awareness starts getting in more perplexing. This awareness mostly based on a discovery of the opposite sex, some in a rather confused way, hidden behind sports or some other extracurricular activity. Some may have a tendency of being extroverted or introverted and everything in between. As a photographer, you must be sensitive and respect their psychological turf. Allow them to express themselves, and if they need be, work out a compromises. For example, if you're in a certain pose and they balk at it, then tell them, okay, you oblige them, but you expect reciprocity on their part and hold them to it. For the most part, they'll cooperate. but don't push your luck and allow them the last word, because once you lose them, the session will go downhill quickly. As for the teenager, well, this group is in a class all of its own, and every generation seems to have a unique stamp as to what they want. Despite that, the universal truths regarding romance, fitting in, success, freedom, and rebellion is there. Their quest for uniqueness is all the rage, and the better you can address it, the more success you will have in getting their cooperation for a successful picture session. The best way to stay on top of their needs is to look through their favorite media channels. Their likes, dislikes, magazines are all the latest fads that are there. Consider them. In addition, be patient. Suggest only after you've asked for their opinion. Always oblige them by fulfilling their wishes. Take some poses that they and the parents would like as well. Do some shots with the parents. Their pets. Consider some moody and wacky shots. Ask them what poses they would like, and then do it. Never mind, you may not like it. Be creative, because once you develop a relationship, the rest is fun. Now, next, we will consider what's the best way to prepare to capture the joy of the wedding photography. Looking forward.